Welcome to another segment of interviews with composers, featuring the composers on our upcoming event, Love Stories, which will be broadcast live on the radio, G-Town Radio, on Valentine's Day, Sunday, February 14th at 4 p.m. And today we have Wendel Patrick. So welcome, Wendell.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
And thanks for taking the time. So I'd just like you to introduce yourself to our audiences, please.
Sure. Well, my name is Wendel Patrick, and I am a pianist, producer, composer, beat maker, hip hop professor at the Peabody Institute of the Johns Hopkins University, and lover of music and lover of gadgets.
Yeah, we can see that. I'm looking forward to talking to you more about that. Now, you're really a multifaceted artist. I was wondering if you could just share with our audiences, share with us just a little bit about sort of the intersections of, piano to technologist to hip hop artist to all the things that you do. Tell us a little bit how they all overlap.
Well, they definitely overlap, and I think the lines where they overlap are I think maybe blurred, or to me they don't really feel non-existent because it's just all a part of what I do. Everything for me started with that instrument back there a long time ago when I was 4 years old, and everything has sort of stemmed from there. Creatively, you can see there's a number of different keyboard instruments just in this room alone, and then there's more around the corner. Um, but I've also had a love of uh, lots of genres of music since I was very young, listening to hip hop since I was 6 years old, um, jazz, of course, classical music, of course, and then things from my childhood and family. My parents were from the Caribbean, so a lot of calypso, reggae, dancehall. And what I've found myself doing over the years, sort of unconsciously, is synthesizing uh, all of it in some way, shape, or form, and having it come out as not something else, but as a sort of an amalgamation of all of those things.
And I love that idea of amalgamation. It certainly comes across in your piece. And one thing that I think we really wanted to do in this concert is to sort of challenge the traditional paradigm of a composer and show that the composer really belongs across all genres,
Mm-hmm.
creative artist as you are. Now you mentioned that you're a technologist in piano, and in this particular commission, we asked you to consider a text as part of the inspiration for it. So I was wondering if you could just tell us a little bit about like what was your initial thought when you heard Tanisha Ford's text? How did that begin that creative process for you?
Well, I love writing to text or to film or both combined. And one of the first things I do is just listen to the tonal quality of the voice and the way that the storytelling that the story is expressed. And I think about how could I write something that is going to interact in terms of expression of mood, but then also interact in terms of timbre or the pitch of the voice or the cadence of the voice where there may be pauses. Um, and so that was really, I think, where I started. And I you kind of immediately just start to hear certain things in my head that go with or contrast nicely with whatever it is that the source material is. And I just sort of start thinking, okay, well, what do I have in my sort of my arsenal of sounds that I can best employ to to complement.
And we can see you've got quite an arsenal of sound there. So I was wondering if you could tell us, a little bit about what's around you and what you use to create your love story.
Sure. Well, so here I have this beautiful board from it's a QCon Pro from Icon Pro Audio, which allows me to mix different channels. And so in the piece, you hear it actually starts with what sounds like an orchestral opening, and that's all done with recorded virtual instruments that I'm playing all of it. So I'm not sampling records or anything like that. I'm actually using this Nord keyboard to trigger those sounds, and then I have just a plethora of virtual libraries. In addition to orchestral sounds, there's you hear drum sounds. There's different sound effects as well, and yeah, I just try to find again something that's going to complement what the source material is. But in my piece, I also tried to span different genres of music and different styles. So it starts sounding like a classical or orchestral background, and then it sort of transfers to something else. I have my composer sidekick here.
I was just going to say you have your you have your office assistant there. Of course,
Yes.
we're going to want to know about your office assistant. So tell us a little bit about that, please.
Sure. His name is Dexter. Dexter. Hey. And he's always around, and he's my staunchest supporter, and he's definitely not my harshest critic. But yeah, he's a very, very musical dog.
Great. What kind of dog is it?
He's an Ibizenhound mix, Ibizenhound and German Shepherd.
Nice. Well, I'm glad to have Dexter on the interview with us.
Yeah.
Now, for those who are a little bit more technically inclined, could you tell us just a little bit more about like the samples, the brand samples that you're using, any sequencer programs? Like, what programs did you use to create your
Sure.
what programs did you and Dexter use to create?
Yeah. Well, Dexter and I used so Ableton Live is my primary DAW that I use, and then within that, I use a lot of East-West Hollywood orchestral sounds. There are libraries, string libraries, brass libraries, woodwinds as well. XLN audio drum sounds, and there's a secret upright bass sample kit that I use. Actually, the name escapes me at the moment, but it's really stellar. And then, but it's a contact library instrument as well as there's a contact library instrument guitar in there as well. And there's a Mellotron by Waves Factory, which I just came across and really love that I use in there as well.
Great. You're really drawing from a lot of different sources for that. Yeah, and I think that really comes across too. I hope our audiences listen very closely to it.
I hope so.
And because this show is a special show for Valentine's Day, we asked the obligatory question: what are you and Dexter doing for Valentine's Day?
Well, just it's going to be a quiet one this year, but I've had some lovely Valentine's Day experiences in the past. I may spend a little bit of time reminiscing about those. But we'll probably go for a nice long walk, and yeah, and we'll listen to the program.
That's great, and I hope a lot of people out there will listen. We got a lot of great music there. And we're so pleased to have you on the show, Wendel Patrick. Thank you so much for taking the time to do the interview.
Thanks for having me. It's my pleasure.